Welcome back to Detective Comments, the show where we read the comics and then talk about what they're actually saying about love, identity, and the world we live in, certainly today. If you're new here, please go back and catch our recent dives into Batman's fear loss, Wonder Woman's transformation, and the Gotham After Dark survivor stories. So, today, we're doing something different. We're talking about joy. Specifically, the way DC Comics has, especially in the last decade, become one of the most mainstream, consistent publishers championing LGBTQ plus relationships, representation, and love stories in American comics. And we're going to put a spotlight on my personal favourite, granted, I'm biased, Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. But first, let's start with the bigger picture. DC has come a long, long way. In 2026, the publisher now regularly features canon queer characters across its timelines and across its relationships. And they're not token moments, they're core parts of the story. Here are a few examples. Midnighter and Apollo were the first openly gay superhero couple in mainstream comics, still happily married today. Batwoman, Kate Kane, had multiple long-term relationships with women, including a wedding arc. Now, the wedding arc never came to fruition. There is one individual that is predominantly responsible for that, who no longer works at DC. I will pop a link in regards to another comic book aficionado who I follow on Instagram, who explains it in far more detail than I ever could, which was disappointing that this wedding arc never came about. But there you go. Kate Kane as a character has had multiple long-term relationships, most recently with Renee Montoya, who currently is the Question. You've got Alan Scott, the Golden Age Green Lantern, who came out as gay in the 2010s, and he's been portrayed with a husband and family ever since. You've got Tim Drake, came out as bisexual about 21, 22, and he's had meaningful romantic arcs with men. You've also got John Kent, Clark Kent and Lois Kent's son. He's come out as bisexual and is currently in a relationship with a fellow superhero. And across the board, you've got characters like Aqualad, Jackson Hyde, you've got Nubia, one of the Thermoskerans, and many other characters that are explicitly queer and just treated as normal, which they should be. But they're vital parts of the DC universe. This isn't lip service, it's editorial comment from the top down that queer characters can be heroes, villains, sidekicks, love interests, parents, and everything in between. And when DC does it right, it feels effortless, it feels normal, it feels joyful. Which brings us to Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. Now, their relationship is probably one of the most beloved and most developed and most consistently queer positive romances in all superhero comics, not just DC. It started as subtext. Fans saw the chemistry in the animated series and the Harley Quinn comics from the 90s and so on. But DC made it canon in 2015-16 with Harley Quinn 23 and Poison Ivy's solo series, which is fantastic, by the way. And since then, they've never looked back. As they say, key moments that make their relationship so special is they're allowed to be messy and toxic at times and deeply in love, just like real relationships can be. Ivy is not fixed by Harley, and Harley is not tamed by Ivy. They grow together, they challenge each other, and they choose each other again and again. Now, in 2021's ongoing Harley Quinn series and the Poison Ivy miniseries, their romance is front and centre. Dates, fights, apologies, sex, domestic life, shared villainy, shared heroism, and much more. The 2023 Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy miniseries actually gave them a wedding, a real, joyful canon wedding, and it was celebrated by fans and creators alike. And even in some of the crossover events like Dark Knights of Steel, Multiversity, they're written as a committed couple who just support each other's growth. So what makes this so powerful in 2026? Well, representation matters. When two queer kids or adults see two women who are chaotic, powerful, but flawed, and still deeply in love, it tells us that tells them that their own love stories, and indeed ours, can be, and often are, epic. You know, when straight readers see Harley and Ivy treated with the same seriousness as Lois and Clark or Bruce and Selina, it just normalizes queer love as equal, which it should be. And DC's been consistent. Under multiple editors and creative teams, bar one that I alluded to earlier, that again, check out the link, you'll learn more about that. Harley and Ivy particularly has never been reset to straight or single for shock value. They're just allowed to be happy in the comics. They're allowed to be in love. They're allowed to fall out. They're allowed to have fights. They're allowed to just be in a relationship. And that's quite rare in comic books, certainly some superhero comic books, and it's worth celebrating. So tonight, I just wanted to ask you what Harley and Ivy moment, whether it be comic, animated, game, fan art, made you feel seen, hopeful, or maybe just happy? Or more broadly, which queer relationship in DC Comics, or any comics for that matter, has meant something to you particularly? Tell me about your favourite Harley Ivy moment, about your queer moment in comics, and how queer representation in comics has impacted you. This is Detective Comments. Love is not a subplot, it's the whole fucking story.